guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
My mic's not fucked up today, right?
No, today it's working.
Okay, so Justin.
So is this like a private? Interview? Is that what this is? Is it just the four of us hanging out and chatting?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much how it's gonna operate.
Yeah, it's more free flowing. Just just like you said, pretty much the four of us just chatting and just going on from there.
Now, do other people listen to this, or this is just like the four of us hanging out on a Thursday afternoon, but in different parts of the world?
No, a few people listen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, we record it and pop it on our YouTube channel, and we've got a Mixcloud channel as well, which we shove it in. So it's all free for people to listen to once we've put it up there.
Alrighty. So fire away, boys.
All right. Everyone ready?
Yep.
All right. Before we start, we do want to say thanks for doing this. It actually means a lot to us that you actually took time out of your day to hang out, chat with us for our show. It does mean a lot to us, so thank you.
You're very welcome. It's look, we do this stuff in a booth, and sometimes we don't even see each other. So it's cool every now and then to hear, oh, this stuff actually gets watched and people dig it. So I appreciate it.
Oh, and by the way, then completely thrown me.
What happened?
My mind's just completely blank. Don't worry.
Liam O'Brien?
Yes, yeah, Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien says hi. I saw him at the weekend.
Yeah, at the London MCM Expo, right?
Yeah, and drinks afterwards.
I want to be like you when I grow up. I really do.
It was just casually hanging out at the bar drinking Guinness. So.
Those guys emailed me once upon a time about coming out, and I responded, and I never heard back, and I wasn't sure. Did I misuse the word cheers? Did I write on the wrong side of the email? Or what's that all about? Yeah, so no, I saw that Liam and Allie and Courtney were out there.
Those girls are brilliant.
All three of them. It's just not fair. If you're in voiceover, you should look like me, not like the three of them. It's just like, you're pretty people. You should be on camera. Leave this voiceover stuff to us ugly folk, damn it. It's just wrong. It's like, what the hell is Hollywood doing keeping Allie Hillis in a recording booth? Hello?
Tell about it.
It's her fault for being so damn good at it, though.
Please stop it. I know ugly women who are good at it too. Just look at Liam. Look at Liam, married with a beautiful family, and T90X boy and all that stuff, and look at all the and he's got to do the voiceover too. It's like, it's not enough for you, huh? Redford, I tell you, it's one thing when you grow up ugly and bitter, and then another thing when it's like you're not doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing, dagnabbit, because the pretty people are doing it.
Well, we'll have to make sure that you get invited for me.
Oh, hey, you want to give him a call? Look,
I'm sure I can contact him somehow.
To be honest with you, I'm not supposed to do anything in England next year because I have a pseudo commitment to go to auto assembly in Birmingham. Summer. Yeah, but look, I don't discriminate. I'm happy to talk about that Naruto even at a Transformer convention. I go both ways. Not in that way, but I talk. It's okay by me. You want to come and talk to me about Digimon at a Transformer convention? I will accept that. I'm okay with that. I like variety in my life. So you can tell your Naruto fans, go see the Transformer convention. Other people may make fun of you, but not Neil.
Awesome.
Am I wasting good material before we're recording? Is this a bad thing?
Not at all.
Not at all.
We just have to repeat everything we've just said.
Wait, is there now a woman on with us?
Yes.
Am I seeing
Hopefully,
this right?
the fourth
Did I stall? Did I stall long enough to ruin the sausage fest?
I'm hoping you did.
Oh no! Look at what me and my mouth caused.
Oh, there we go, Michelle.
She's back and better than ever. Yeah, there's a couple podcasts online of me being interviewed after a couple of cocktails.
Hey, Michelle.
Hello, guys.
Yes, Michelle made it for one of the guest appearances.
All right, so before we continue, what corners of the world do we have represented today? By the way,
We have me from Southern England.
all right.
Michelle from Scotland.
Hey, did you sell Michelle's from Scotland?
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm gonna enjoy talking to you. Let me tell you, it's gonna be great. The three of you piss off. We're gonna have a chat.
You know what? I am so down for that.
Stop it. No, I swear, my favourite thing when I was in Edinburgh was sitting around and listening to people talk on their cell phones.
You know, you've got to speak like that for the rest of the podcast.
Well, no, because when you're at home and people talk on cell phones when you're trying to have a bite to eat, it's like, shut up. I want some privacy. But when you're in another country and you do voices for a living, and they're sitting there going, oh, that's bloody shit. He's going to be there at 4 o'clock. I didn't take the afternoon off for nothing. Oh, I swear, I'll take you out of this fucking hide. You're sitting there going, more. It's like theater. It's a lot of fun.
It's like free material.
Yeah, well, it's a free bit of study.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my ear's not that good, so I tend to leap off from listening to other people do things, and then once I've got an idea, then I kind of go from there. So if I just went to Scotland and was listening to people, I wouldn't get any of it. But because I lived in an apartment without air conditioning in the summer of '94 when Braveheart came out, saw that a few dozen times and let somebody else pay for the AC. Hooray! And so by the end of it, it was like, I love you. I want to marry you. And I was like, there we go. I got it now. So, yeah. So, Michelle, you don't hate me yet, do you?
Oh, not yet. I'll set up a video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that. That's great. Oh, yeah. There's room, though. I will by the end of this, I'm sure. Anyway.
Neil is now going to direct every question to Michelle just to get her to talk.
Well, I'll have her translate.
Will we need subtitles at the end of this?
What are you from? What are the other two of you from?
I am from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, right. Hey, I hope everything's okay over by you.
Yeah, everything's all right. The shoreline was the thing that really got hit the worst.
I have a comic book artist friend who I believe lives in Queens, and he lost everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I'm glad he's okay, but just to read those words from somebody because that's the kind of thing that it's like you hear about that happening to people, but that's the news. It's not like somebody in writing lost everything. It's all gone.
Yeah.
All destroyed. So, wow. Hopefully, maybe as things settle down, I'll see what I can do about raising some money, and helping to repurchase some art supplies. But anyhow,
yeah.
Well, that covers 3 of the 4, and the unknown quantity would be from where?
I'm actually in Baltimore, Maryland right now.
Oh, sorry, man.
That is the general reaction I get. Ooh, sorry about that.
Well, it's really because most of us have seen Diner and The Wire and Homicide: Life on the Streets. So,
and the sad thing is, I have to say, yeah, it's accurate. Yeah, that.
But then we get uplifted because we see Orioles games and the nice folks that are there. So there's got to be a couple of nice corners.
Oh yeah, we see Orioles games where, in true Baltimore fashion, they just completely collapse at the finish line.
Well, hey, let's be fair. Let's be fair, because my wife's a Yankee fan. I'm a huge San Francisco Giants fan. Only one team gets to win the last game.
This is true.
And as a real fan of a team, in order to keep your sanity, you have to divorce yourself of there only being one palatable solution. Trust me, sir, my guess is I've been a Giants fan for longer than you've been alive. And they just won the first one 2 years ago. So I waited a long time, but I didn't give up, I didn't give in, and I live in L.A., where for 18 years people were shoving it in my face left and right. Let me tell you, these last 2 years have been fun.
Oh, I can imagine.
But ultimately, I used to be a Clippers season ticket holder. I'm a 49er fan as well. I'm a Sharks fan. But it's like, did they play? The Orioles, as an Oriole fan, you got to look at them and say they exceeded expectations through the year. The core of the pitching staff and a lot of the talent on the field is young, so there are good things to come. It just so happens they're in the hardest freaking division in Major League Baseball. Between the money that's doled out in Toronto, in Boston, in New York, and Tampa Bay is going to be at least competitive for the next few years. So it's a tough division. But as the Cardinals showed you last year, as the Cardinals kind of showed you this year, all you got to do is make the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And find a way to survive the season, the 162 games, and see what happens. I mean, sure, the Orioles got beaten by the Yankees, and then what happened to the Yankees?
I don't.
Right in the field, Lawrence.
Right
in the field.
I don't acknowledge it.
I told you my wife's a Yankee fan, but the interesting thing is that the way that all went down, the Yankees got swept by the Tigers, which then set them up to be swept by the Giants because they weren't playing.
Yeah.
And they had that week off, which totally threw their timing off. And by the time they figured out, hey, wait a second, these Giants are for real, it was too late.
Yeah.
It was a great time in your house then. You got to be the hero, vanquish the mean old Tigers that
No, absolutely. Well, the interesting thing is, because my wife and I have been together for a few years, she's seen this Giants team develop, and there are a lot of look, the best way I can illustrate it is, sports-wise, is there are Raider fans, and then there are football fans whose favorite team is the Raiders. Okay? There are, and I'm sure there are fans like this everywhere. There are fans who get angry at other people for being fans of other teams.
It sounds like football or soccer.
And they get into somebody's face, and they want to, and certainly the same thing with European soccer, which I've never understood. Which, personally, don't want to get me started on.
Don't get me started with that.
Well, look, if I can't sleep, the best thing to do is just put on Major League Soccer, and I'm asleep in no time.
Oh,
but that's American Major League Soccer, which is a weak imitation of the real sport, from what I hear from people who really know the sport, and I respect them. But the fact of it is, these guys make so much freaking money. They don't care about us in the stands. Why should we take it so seriously that we take it out on each other? It's a game, for crying out loud. The real quote unquote enemy is somebody who's thousands of miles away trying to figure out how to blow that stadium up with you and me in it. You know? So as long as that's not happening, why don't we just enjoy a game? You know, I like sitting next to a Dodger fan who knows the team and knows some statistics, and we can needle each other and buy each other a beer and realize it's just a game. We're having a good time. But the guys who take it too seriously and want to throw down because their team looks like shit on the field right now, or when they try to insult my team, I know enough about their team to sling it back at them, and then their obvious recourse, as opposed to, you know, having a discussion when they've been shown to be the fraud that they are, is to get physical, confrontational, violent. I don't get that.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, my wife is a baseball fan, so my wife sees the Giants play and sees the personalities on that team, and has seen Brandon Belt come up and watched Ryan Vogelsong come from the edge of nowhere, pitching in Japan, and you see Sergio Romo on the mound, who just has this joy. I mean, you see the guy get interviewed, and he spends 15 minutes talking about how his team believes in him, and that's what gives him the belief to go out there. He's like, if I've got the belief of these 24 guys, I know I can do it. I mean, that's a team. And I don't know if you saw this, but the kid who played shortstop, there was a picture of him in the paper 20 years ago when the Giants almost moved to Tampa Bay. He was like 5 years old at the time and sitting there like sad as can be with a Giants hat on about them maybe going to Tampa Bay. And so obviously, here's a story of a kid who grew up a fan of that team, played for that team, now won a World Series championship. Translates into sport, it translates to Aussie football, translates to soccer. You know, certainly a kid who grows up in Chelsea, loves Chelsea, and then scores the winning goal to win the cup. I mean, for crying out loud! I mean, it's, you know, I mean, that's every kid's dream, regardless of the sport, right?
Yeah.
You're going, wait, the interview, or are we doing?
Well, no, actually, when you were talking about fans that take things too seriously, that's actually like a great segue into something I wanted to talk about. Just fandoms in general that take things way too seriously to the point of, like you said, it's just a game. Especially in the gaming industry, it's like,
and an anime.
Oh, definitely anime. Like, it's like, oh, you like this? How dare you talk about this? It's like, dude, it's all media. It's all entertainment. Can't we all just appreciate good storytelling?
Sure. And even you know, there's a way to be critical of a story. There's a way to be critical of something and not be critical of an individual. You know, I'm certainly going through that with the American political situation right now when I try to talk to people. And I don't want to insult you. Please don't insult me. And let's not devolve into name calling of your chosen candidate or my chosen candidate. Let's have a diatribe, because I certainly don't know everything in the world, and I'm fairly sure you don't either. So let's try to enlighten each other. Maybe I'll learn something, and perhaps you will as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't dig on that. You know, it's like insults are great when you're at the Improv and it's Bobby Slayton slinging them out, or you're in Vegas and it's Don Rickles. But otherwise, when it's somebody you're trying to talk to, no, I don't dig that. And I mean, I've told people it you know, I go to San Diego Comic-Con every year, and you know, a few years back, when it wasn't as huge as it is now, you know, every now and then you get these guys downtown who'd have a little too much to drink and wearing their jersey of some sort and making fun of somebody who's cosplaying, and it's like, hold on a second, who's really strange here? Guy who's dressing up as Green Lantern, or the 320-pound fat slob who's wearing a basketball jersey with somebody else's name on the back?
At an anime convention.
Both nerds. Oh, you're both nerds. Let each nerd have their own nerddom, for crying out loud. You know, it doesn't infringe. Somebody can love Star Wars, and it doesn't make the Super Bowl ratings go down. You know, somebody can love Bleach, and guess what? There's still plenty of people who are watching Naruto, and it's just like, it's not a competition, guys. So I've never understood when fans get like that. Yeah,
it sometimes does get ridiculous when it comes to that. Like, all of a sudden you can't like one thing, and because you like that one thing, it's, you know, they start doing name calling or slinging insults, and it's like, okay, I like Naruto or I like Bleach. What does that have to do with the person? And you know.
Now on the other hand, if people want to put together a panel, you know, and have a set hour where you got Super Friends fans versus X-Men fans, you know, go ahead and have your insults worked up based around that. And during this panel, I'm sure it would be very funny. I'm sure it'd be very funny to hear, you know, like somebody who's a fan of Elastic Man trying to make fun of Reed Richards.
Okay, hold on.
Meat kettle.
I have to say, well, one of the things I loved about Justice League Unlimited was how anytime Elastic Man showed up, there's like a subtle jab at, yep, Reed Richards, minus the smart, but yep, Reed Richards.
Well, yeah, I mean, cause come on, you know, it's. Did anybody see the Robot Chicken recently, where they did the DC superheroes?
I wish I caught that, but I didn't.
Okay, well, it'll be available. But there's one segment where like all the Freeze villains show up. You know, whether it's Captain Cold or it's
Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. You know, there were like 4 different guys. It's like, all right, yeah. Thank you for reminding us, Seth. There are only so many ideas that go so far. But, you know, this is a very funny sketch, and we as fans, we accept that, you know? It's like, sure, look, Bane is Darth Vader without the Force powers, okay? I got it.
No, hold on. I actually have a very good Bane comparison. I was talking with my little brother, and he said, you realize Bane is just Amon from Legend of Korra, right? They're the same person.
Well, I must say that there's not enough time in my current schedule to have watched that show. I hear great things about it, but
it is amazing.
The show is fantastic.
But so I can't jump in on that reference. Wah, wah.
But the Bane is Darth Vader one works just as well.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, without the Force powers, you know, he actually has to strangle the guy. You know, it's like, yeah, it's you know what, Vader, it's easy for you because you don't have to actually get your hands dirty.
You don't have to lift. You don't have to lift up a 200-pound guy and break his back over your knee. You can just think it, and it'll happen.
That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. You know.
So clearly, the Force has made Darth Vader weak. That's clearly what we're saying here.
Ultimately, yeah.
Oh yeah, physically.
Sure. And morally, I think, because when things become that easy that you don't actually have to, it's like, you know, it's the argument of using a knife to kill somebody and using a gun. And in the courtroom, they'll say, well, you used a knife. Clearly, there's more passion there. There's far more intent because you've got to get in there. You know, look the guy in the eye. You gotta, you know, whereas a gun, it's like, you know, 50 paces. I'm shooting at you. Oops. It's a whole different thing. So like Darth is sitting there from across the room, la-di-da-di-da. I mean, maybe he's just screwing around. Maybe he's just watched an episode of Kids in the Hall, and so he's sitting there going, "I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head," and it actually
accidentally.
And it happens, yeah. And it's just because he's sitting there laughing at Dave Foley, you know. Actually, I think it was Scott Thompson who was the guy. I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head. If you don't know what I'm talking about, people, watch Kids in the Hall. You'll thank me for it later.
Seriously, watch Kids in the Hall.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
It's they were a Canadian sketch group in the 90s. I don't know about Netflix situations in other countries, but their show is on Netflix in the U.S.
Okay.
But they were some very very funny men with some I would very much in line with Monty Python.
When it was described to me, it was described as the spiritual successor to Monty Python, and it is hilarious.
I think so. So when do we start, guys?
Yeah.
Wow, I think that killed a half hour.
No, I will find a way to work some of that in. But I guess we can officially start now. That was some good stuff in there earlier about the different fandoms and just learning to appreciate the media. So I will work that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
What do you like?
Before we start, Neil?
Yeah.
How was the parade?
I was down in Los Angeles, but I was at Game 1 of the World Series last week, and that was pretty awesome. And I was there a couple days before that at Game 6 of the National League Championships, and that was pretty awesome as well. So yay!
Awesome.
Most people will tell you I'm kind of obsessed with my San Francisco Giants. The first international convention I ever did was late October, November 2002, so it was just after my Giants lost, broke my heart in 7 games of the World Series, and I flew 5,000 miles to England, and there's a dealer at the Transformer convention that I'm at wearing an Angels hat, which was the team that beat my Giants, and I just went up to him and I said, 5,000 miles I fly to get away from that logo, and this is what you do to me?
Oh, man. That must have sucked.
Yeah. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And it was like, and then of course you sit back and you chuckle because of all the gin joints and all the world, you had to walk into mine. It's like, seriously, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Oh man. That is great.
Oh, hold on. Before we start, I had a quick question.
Yes.
No. This is related to what we're about to talk about. In the midst of trying to rebuild my Naruto collection to find out where exactly they were in the anime, I've lost that pace. And I remember Lauren saying no spoilers for you since there's a gap and you're not reading the manga. So I wanted to know where the stop point is, especially with your character since he's kind of a walking spoiler.
Well, that's, to be honest with you, that's really difficult to say because I've worked on a couple of video games which I think fit into the canon later than where we are in the story itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are certain things that I know that have not happened yet in the series.
Right.
Okay.
We've talked about Naruto in the past. We've talked about the manga as it is in Japan now, which is, way ahead of where the dub is at. But some of the games cover a certain point past the dub. Like Storm Generations covers Sasuke versus Danzo. And it ends with Tobi meeting up with Sasuke afterwards. And him talking to Kabuto. That's Storm Generations. That got released in the US. And Storm 3 is being made next year. And that fits into the canon as the halfway marker of the Ninja War.
So that may be the one that I just worked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Look, I have a very Western pronunciation. I'm the guy who says Naruto. He gets yelled at by fans. It's like, come on, man, you call me Neil and I'll still turn around. you know what I'm talking about. Please, let's just move forward.
Yeah.
To BTF.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So pretty much the war, and then that's about as far as spoilers, I guess.
I just wanted to see if we could talk about the
Well, like for instance, I had somebody come up to me at Comic-Con in July and say, "You're not Madara." And I said, "Yeah, actually, I am." "You're not Madara." "Well, no, I'm not really the guy. I'm just the voice actor who plays him." "No, you're not Madara." I said, "Okay, man, I read the manga." I said, "That's great." And at this point, I'm just annoyed by him.
Yeah.
I said, "That's great. Good for you. I'm glad that you read it. I don't." They call me up to record some stuff. I go in, I read, I leave. Because here's the thing, and maybe you might want to use this somewhere else. In anime, we're recording wild. We record our own lines, so I have no idea what's going on in the rest of the story. The director fills me in on the things I need to know about the scene that we're working on, but other than that, I have no clue about the about the grand overarching nature of the story. And this show's been being done for 7.5 years. I'm sorry, I'm not going back and watching 6, 7, 8 seasons of a show if I don't have to.
Makes sense.
For me, it's a job. I want to do it right. I want to be respectful. And if there's something I need to see, let me know and I'll watch it. But otherwise, that's what the director is for, is to fill me in so that I can play that scene appropriately without having to know everything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it makes sense.
I think that's kind of what Carl Hebe was kind of chatting about.
That's exactly or something very similar when we had him on.
Carl Hebert.
Oh, Kyle, yeah.
So.
Exactly. I mean, there's only so much stuff that we can know. It's like, for instance, Kyle's a big gamer. Kyle plays a lot of games.
Yeah.
Me, I have a very addictive personality, and if I started playing games, I'd never go out and make any of them. And I enjoy making them more than I enjoy playing them. Don't get me wrong. I like watching, good players play, whether it's a sports game or it's an RPG, or whatever it is. I mean, the technology is such right now, is so entertaining that I can watch, but I don't have the dexterity to play, and the amount of time it would take to work that up, I'm not going to devote to it. And similarly, I'm not going to sit around and watch Adult Swim every night to know what's going on every anime show, or go to Funimation's website and watch all their stuff in case I get hired to do something. I got a life to lead.
Mm-hmm.
I can see
I'm sorry?
I can see how all that extra research would kind of cut into, the actual job application process.
Yeah, there is that. And plus, just like fans watch all of this stuff that we work on, I'm a fan of other things as well. So whereas somebody is taking their off time to watch to watch Sailor Moon and to watch Digimon, I'm taking my off time to watch Walking Dead. That's what I enjoy. My wife and I watch Boardwalk Empire and Homeland. Yes, they're all on Sunday nights. Darn it!
I've never seen Walking Dead. So
You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
We enjoy it, but look, I have this thing that I talk about to my students when I'm teaching, and that is, you can prove that the most popular thing in the world is more unpopular than it is popular. Well, aside from eating, sleeping, and having sex. But, no, like the most popular film of all time, you can statistically prove that more people didn't see it than actually saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the minute you realize that, then you start accepting that it's okay that I like things that other people don't like, and it's okay that they like things that I don't like.
Yeah.
Just not enough time to see everything. I know I'm too deep sometimes.
I get stuck behind on things myself. So, I even find myself getting stuck in amongst, I play a lot of games, but I find myself stuck in amongst 5 or 6 games at once and then never get around to finishing any of them.
Yeah. Then why don't you finish them?
Because then something else comes out and then you kind of just play that while everything, while it's the hot thing to do and everyone's talking about it.
I mean, especially the ones that have an actual finish. I mean, we're not talking about I played Pac-Man all the way through to the end.
Yeah.
RPGs are very life-consuming.
Having worked on a couple and proudly so. Look, it's I think entertainment is a very necessary part of life, and just like everything else, you just have to have some balance. Certainly, I never worked on a game with the intention that somebody would go 7 days without sleeping and die.
Oh, yeah.
It's. I mean, you sit there and you read that story and you go, on the one hand, I'm flattered.
Oh man,
that's one way to put it. On the one hand, you're flattered, but I didn't expect that.
You know what? I guess I should have said that's horrible. But on the other hand, I am kind of flattered. So yeah, I guess that did kind of come out a little. So.
It's all right. It's just the way it sounds. Like, on the one hand, I'm flattered. He played the game for 7 days and he died because of me.
Hey, if the game wasn't good, the kid would still be alive.
And this is where I say we start the actual interview.
Nobody ever died from playing tic-tac-toe for too long. I'm just saying. I grew up in the 70s, and I never heard of anybody who died from a Pong marathon.
7 days straight of just boom, ding, boom, boom.
Well, I say that sometimes at conventions. I say, I've been working on video games a long time, and let's see how many of you guys can remember my first game I worked on. I think I can remember a couple of the lines. I think it was something like. Boop. And a couple people look around like, is he serious? Wait, I think I recognize that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's fun to watch the hair blow back because it just goes right over their heads. And on that note...